कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरदारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरदारी यशोदनन्दन व्रज जन रंजन यमुतीरवचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्ण।
जय राधा माधव राधा माधव राधे जय जगन्नाथा जय बलदेवा सुभद्रमाई जय सुदर्शना जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे।
Okay, in
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Starting prayers. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamakyam Dadati Swapadantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे बृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण माता जी।
Hare Krishna. Ganesh Prabhuji.
हरे कृष्ण माता जी।
Hare Krishna.
नामस्ते नरसिंहाय नामस्ते नरसिंहाय प्रहलादना इजायिनि प्रहलादनादयिनि हिरण्यकाशीपूययज्ञ हिरण्यकाशीपूययज्ञ तिलकङ्कानकालयि तिलकङ्कानकालयि इतो नरसिंह परतो नरसिंह इतो नरसिंह परतो नरसिंह यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंह यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंह बहि नरसिंह हृदये नरसिंह प्रभो नरसिंह हृदये नरसिंह नरसिंहहरिं शरणं प्रपदे नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपदे तव करकमलवरे जगत्ललितशिरण्य तव करकमलवरे जगत्ललितशिरण्य
Uh-huh. Adbhuta Shringa.
1 minute. That
Uh,
letter has to come down little. I mean, it's.
you have to change your phone settings, Prabhuji. It's not changing here.
I'm just trying to do that, and
Okay. Tava kara kamalavare naka adbhuta shringam dalita hiranyakashipu tanubringam केशवद्रीता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय विघ्न विनाशाय नरसिंहादेव विघ्न विनाशाय नरसिंहादेव जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय अनंतदेव लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय अनंतदेव जय भक्तवत्सला जय नरहरि भक्तवत्सला जय नरहरि जय प्रह्लाद महाराज जय प्रह्लाद महाराज जय प्रह्लाद महाराज
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you.
श्री भक्ति विघ्न विनाशक नरसिंहदेव भगवान की जय. Thank you, Ganesh Prabhuji, Lata Mataji, and Chaitanya Mataji.
Thank you, my friend.
Okay. So we are on chapter 3 today, correct?
Yeah. Yes, Mataji.
Everyone remembers chapter 2? Is that imprinted well in your brain or it's already forgotten now?
No, no, it's there.
Oh, Mataji.
Sorry, Sumit Prabhu.
Memorize Mataji well clear.
Okay,
Like
good.
all the concept from what the Krishna is saying from verse 11 to last verse, like how he's summarizing the Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, how to become a Sthita Prajna in last verses.
Hmm. Okay, good. So, chapter 2 was a summary of everything that comes in the whole Bhagavad Gita. So, in some sense, Krishna started with one topic. He started with Karma Kanda, quickly shifted gears to Karma Yoga. Then, in between, he brought Jnana Yoga in between, right? So, there was little, unorganized flow of different yogas that Krishna brought in. Right? Yes, there is a flow. If you look at it, if you try to understand the whole sequence of actions that he brought in. But for a layman to have so many topics put together in one flow, it might sound a little very confusing. Like, okay, Krishna said Jnana Yoga, then Sakama Karma Yoga, Nishkama Karma Yoga. Then quickly he went on to Sthita Prajna. What are the qualities of a Sthita Prajna? But what is happening from chapter 3 onwards is Krishna is dwelling deeper into each concept. He's starting with Karma Yoga. Okay, so Karma Yoga, like we discussed, Karma Yoga ideally in the if it's done in the state of surrendering to Krishna as a remembrance to Krishna, then it's also called as Buddhi Yoga. Okay, now within Karma Yoga, we should understand that there are 3 types of karma. Okay, 3 types. what we call as pious activities. Okay, like you do some yagna for some demigod. There are certain things that we have to do, like the morning offerings to the Surya Devatas, or feeding the Brahmanas. These are all pious activities, or even things that you do without any intent, because for or without any expectation of the end result. Like you do some donation for a good cause, you feed people who are hungry or do not have medicines, you feed them some kind, give some medicines. These are all pious activities, right? But what it's called karma, it's not called sukarma, right? Usually if it's a good thing, we usually tag it with a su, but here it's called karma, because remember, karma back in the days when Krishna is talking about this, everyone was doing pious activities. That was a default way of acting. So karma or sukarma is actually called just karma, right? Then what is the opposite of karma then? What is
Generous.
a
Karma.
akarma?
Karma.
Let's You're right. When you say karma, if you look at Sanskrit or Hindi, karma, akarma, that's the opposite way of looking at it, right? But akarma here has a different meaning, okay? And vikarma is a second kind of karma. And here vikarma means impious activities, or activities that give you sinful reactions. Okay, you hurt a jiva, mentally or physically hurt a jiva, there are sinful reactions, right? That is called vikarma. Okay, now what is akarma? Akarma means you're acting, but you're acting to please Krishna, right? So why is it called akarma? Why is it not called some other name, something connected to bhakti? Because here, though you're acting in akarma, it's as good as not acting, because you're not getting any pious or impious results from that action. It's as good as not acting, right? So that's why it's considered akarma, which is the opposite of karma, right? Karma is acting. So this is akarma, because though you're acting for Krishna, so you're not getting any vikarma or karma out of it, right? Is that three concept very clear? Is there any questions on that? Okay, I wanted to clarify that before we get into the hardcore of karma yoga. Let's start with verse 1. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, let's start with verse 1. Vidya Mataji, I'll need your help to call out people's name if they don't start reading.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Text 1. It was my turn, right?
I think so.
Yes, Mataji, it's your turn.
Yeah. Okay. Arjuna uvacha jyayasi chit karmanaste matha buddhir janardhana tat kim karmani gore mam niyojayasi Keshava. Arjuna said, "O Janardana, O Keshava, why do you want to engage me in this ghastly warfare if you think that intelligence is better than fruitive work?"
Hmm. So
Hare Krishna.
Arjuna, Hare Krishna. So
Yeah.
Arjuna is now calling Krishna as Janardana, O Keshava. What does Janardana mean? Janardana, the general meaning of the word Janardana is one who takes care. He's a maintainer of everything, right? And Keshava, Krishna has his name because he's a killer of the demon Keshi, right? And it's also said that Krishna has very beautiful hair. So he's Keshava. Another meaning of the word Keshava is he's the Lord of Ka and Shiva. Ka is Brahma and Shiva, right? And so Keshava. And any knowledge that comes to Brahma or Shiva originally comes from Lord Krishna. So he's the one who is giving knowledge to Brahma and Shiva as well, right? So in that context, it said that Bhagavad Gita, which where Krishna himself is giving all this knowledge on Bhagavad Gita, everything that is coming in different questions. So Krishna is revealing all these different layers of answer to Arjuna's questions, and he's the same Krishna who gave this information to Shiva and Brahma as well. So this knowledge is very transcendental in that sense. It's not just limited to some materialistic tendencies that we have. He's transcending all these different layers of material knowledge, and he's giving knowledge to us which is spiritual. It's coming from the spiritual world itself, and this knowledge is not something that anybody in the material platform can give us. And hence this knowledge is that more important because it's coming from the Supreme Lord himself. Okay, so now Arjuna is referring to Krishna as Janardana and Keshava, right? Now, remember that as you go through different chapters of Bhagavad Gita, every chapter, it will start with one question, some question from Arjuna, right? And that question will open up layers on answers of different levels from Krishna. And in this chapter 3, Arjuna is asking a question. If you think intelligence is better than fruitive work, then why do you want to engage me in this ghastly war? Now, where is Arjuna getting this kind of doubt from? Because it seemed like in chapter 2, Krishna very nicely opened up the different layers of Jnana Yoga. He spoke about soul, then he went to Karma Kanda, then he spoke about ultimately about uh, uh, of Nishkama Karma Yoga, which he also referred to as Buddhi Yoga, right? Now, in general context, people might also think of Buddhi as intelligence, right? Or Jnana, right? So it seems like Arjuna has confused what Krishna has referred to as Buddhi Yoga or Karma Yoga. Maybe he's confusing that specific term of Buddhi Yoga to Jnana Yoga. So Jnana Yoga is telling sit in one place, meditate, focus on Paramatma, do nothing, give up, renounce all material work. So is maybe Arjuna is getting this kind of doubt from that because Krishna also in one point says give up all these abominable activities, give up all the karma kanda activities. So Arjuna then is rightly asking this question: why should then I fight? Right? Shouldn't I just give up all fruitive work? Right? Now, you should also remember, like I laid it out, it seemed like when Krishna is saying all these different things in chapter 2, it seemed like it's okay, it's easy to understand. So, why then Arjuna is having this kind of question? You should remember that Arjuna is a Paramahamsa devotee of the Lord, right? He is putting out these questions so that people, like all of us in future, we like instant knowledge. We'll read some few verses and make a conclusion, right? So remember, Bhagavad Gita is not for such people who want instant knowledge, instant coffee, instant tea, instant packed food. Bhagavad Gita is a science that keeps revealing in different layers, right? So just by reading chapter 2, we cannot, though it's a summary, we cannot conclude all the layers of information that comes up in chapter 3 and chapter 4, right? So when Arjuna is asking, he's putting himself in the place of a acharya. Okay, so he's predicting that in future people will have these questions, right? People who stop reading Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, they might say Krishna finally said give up all abominable activities. He said accept Buddhi Yoga. Then they might just say then I'll just renounce all work and give it up. So that such people don't come up and give this kind of excuse. Arjuna is specifically asking these kind of questions. Okay, so he's putting himself in a position of an acharya, and Krishna is the Adi Guru, right? So he'll answer Arjuna's question one by one. So in this, let's give me a second. Let's read the purport, Gita Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, has very elaborately described the constitution of the soul in the previous chapter with a view to deliver his intimate friend Arjuna from the ocean of material grief. And the path of realization has been recommended. Buddhi Yoga, or Krishna consciousness. Sometimes Krishna consciousness is misunderstood to be inertia, and one with such a misunderstanding often withdraws to a secluded place to become fully Krishna conscious by chanting the holy name of Lord Krishna. But without being trained in the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, it is not advisable to chant the holy name of Krishna in a secluded place where one may acquire only cheap adoration from the innocent public. Arjuna also thought of Krishna consciousness or Buddhi Yoga or intelligence in spiritual advancement of knowledge as something like retirement from active life and practice of penance and austerity at a secluded place. In other words, he wanted to skillfully avoid the fighting by using Krishna consciousness as an excuse. But as a sincere student, he placed the matter before his master and questioned Krishna as to his best course of action. In answer, Lord Krishna elaborately explained Karma Yoga, or work
Yes.
in Krishna consciousness, in this third chapter.
Okay.
Hare.
So sometimes Krishna consciousness is misunderstood to be inertia. Now, what is inertia? Inertia means doing nothing, right? People think that, Krishna consciousness just give up on everything and meditate on the Lord, right? Give up family, give up responsibilities, don't do any work. That is inertia. Just or tatastha, as we say it, like do nothing, right? But that is a misunderstanding, like Srila Prabhupada says, because nobody in their right sense or, who has an active mind can actually stay inert or do nothing. Okay, everyone is doing something or the other. So one with such a misunderstanding often withdraws to a secluded place to become fully Krishna consciousness by chanting the holy name of the Lord Krishna. But Srila Prabhupada is correcting that that's not the right process. Just by secluding yourself from everybody and sitting in, a high point in Himalayas, one does not become Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is more of a social activity. Okay, it has to be practiced in a group, like the Sankirtana. Sankirtana means we do kirtana in a community with a group of people, right? As a community, we practice association. We read about the glories of the Lord. So it's something that we do together, so that we motivate each other to promote each other's Krishna consciousness, and not something that has to be necessarily done in seclusion. Some people take the path of yoga or dhyana yoga or jnana yoga, and for them they would want to go to a secluded place because they cannot deal with people, the different opinions. They just want to focus internally. And that kind of perfection can be achieved only when you have reached higher stages of Krishna consciousness, where you don't need any other source of motivation, but the motivation comes internally. When you have complete faith in Krishna, that can happen. But if your faith is very weak, then going to a secluded place and meditating is not the answer. Okay, so and nor is the answer to be inert or do nothing. So let's understand then what is Karma Yoga talking about Krishna consciousness. Verse 2.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
3.2 व्यामिश्रेणेव वाक्येन बुद्धिं मोहायसीव मे तदेकं वद निश्चित्य येन श्रेयोऽहमाप्नुयाम्. Translation: My intelligence is bewildered by your equivocal instructions. Therefore, please tell me decisively which will be most beneficial for me.
Mm. So Arjuna is clarifying. So he's not challenging Krishna or saying, you are not saying it properly. He's saying my intelligence is bewildered and hence I'm not able to understand all these instructions very clearly. So give me clear instructions. Okay. So he's clarifying whether to be active, whether to be inert, just to give up war, or fight. What is the right path for me? Let's read the next verse.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
श्रीभगवानुवाच लोकेऽस्मिन् द्विविधा निष्ठा पुरा प्रोक्ता मया नघ ज्ञानयोगेन साङ्ख्यानां कर्मयोगेन योगिनाम्. Translation: The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O sinless Arjuna, I have already explained that there are two classes of men who try to realize the self. Some are inclined to understand it by empirical philosophical speculation, and others by devotional service. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. So, there are two classes of men who try to realize the self: empirical and philosophical speculation. This is empirical is nothing but Jnana Yoga. Okay, and philosophical is and others by devotional service. Now let's try to understand this verse a little better. So Krishna is responding to Arjuna's question here. Okay, so Arjuna had previously here Krishna is responding and he's calling Arjuna as Maya Naga. Maya Naga means O sinless one. Okay, so Arjuna is already being referred to as sinless one. Now, how can, like I explained karma yoga and vikarma yoga before. Based on that, a sinless one is one who is already following a karma yoga, right? A karma yoga is karma that is focused on Krishna. So Arjuna, in other words, based on what Krishna is referring Arjuna as Mayanaga, which means that he's already performing all acts for Krishna. His knowledge is already situated in the absolute knowledge of the Lord. So only a person who constantly thinks of Krishna and constantly engaged in Krishna, he can be Mayanaga. So Arjuna is a sinless one. So Arjuna already has the knowledge of Krishna, the absolute knowledge, right? So that's what this verse is referring to. And also it's a reminder to us that, while Arjuna is asking so many questions, we should not assume that he is not as intelligent. Some people might think Krishna is saying so many things and I'm able to understand. So why is Arjuna not able to understand? Maybe he's not as smart as me. Some people might have that kind of doubts as well. So Krishna is reminding that he has absolute knowledge and he's a sinless person because he has absolute knowledge. So let's not confuse Arjuna's question to be because he's dim-witted or does not have enough understanding of what Krishna is saying. So previously, Krishna has explained Sankhya Yoga, Karma Yoga. That is all in chapter 2. Now, in this chapter, Mataji, if you could please read the purport from here in second chapter.
Yes, Hare Krishna Mataji. In the second chapter, verse 39, the Lord explained two kinds of procedure. A minute. Namely, Sankhya Yoga and Karma Yoga or Buddhi Yoga. In this verse, the Lord explains the same more clearly. Sankhya Yoga, or the analytical study of the nature of spirit and matter, is the subject matter for persons who are inclined to speculate and understand things by experimental knowledge and philosophy. The other class of men work in Krishna consciousness, as it is explained in the 61st verse of the second chapter. The Lord has explained also in the 39th verse that by working by the principles of Buddhi Yoga or Krishna consciousness, one can be relieved from the bonds of action, and furthermore, there is no flaw in the process. The same principle is more clearly explained in the 61st verse that this Buddhi Yoga is to depend entirely on the Supreme, or more specifically on Krishna, and in this way all the senses can be brought under the control very easily. Therefore, both the yogas are interdependent as religion and philosophy. Religion without philosophy is sentiment or sometimes fanaticism, while philosophy without religions is mental speculation.
Hare
The
Krishna.
ultimate Hare Krishna
Thank you,
Mataji.
Mataji. So from this, we understand that the Jnana Yoga and Karma Yoga are both interdependent. So one defines what is religion and one defines the philosophy. So Jnana Yoga gives you the philosophy and Karma Yoga is the religion. Okay, and this statement I've highlighted: religion without philosophy is sentiment or something fantasism, while philosophy without religion is mental speculation. Now, this is a very famous verse that comes from Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. What does this mean? Think of a football match or a soccer match. Usually, what happens? You have two goalposts on either side of the field, right? Two teams. one team A and team B. So team B will have to push their ball to one side of the field, and team B will have to push their ball to other side of the team, and they have a defined goalpost they need to target. So the more balls that goes into the goalpost, they get a score, right? I hope everyone understands football, soccer. My understanding is not so great either, but I understand the basics of it, right? So imagine now if there was no goalposts, right? Teams are playing, and a team A is saying you need to throw your ball this way, that way, send your ball to that player. From there, he'll jump, kick, he'll do all these strategies we are playing. But ultimately, there's no goalpost. So why are they telling do this, do that, throw ball? So without the goalpost to tell them that this is why you play, this is how you win the game, right? It's very impossible. But put a goalpost. Now all these different theories of dodge this ball, throw it here, jump here, all this all makes sense. So philosophy will not make sense to the player if there's no goalpost, right? And where does this goalpost come from? Okay, it comes from our shastras, right? The same situation, if you have to tell, okay, my goalpost, my end game as a human being is to achieve Goloka, right? If that's a goalpost, right? Now, jnana or philosophy, if it directs you towards that goalpost, it makes sense, right? But without that goalpost, if there's just philosophies being thrown out, then it does not make sense, right? Like in Western philosophers, there are a lot of philosophers. We have Aristotle, we have Socrates. They will give a lot of philosophy on how to succeed, do this, be wise. But their philosophy does not tell you what's the end goal of this philosophy. There's no God in their philosophy, right? There's just how to live well in the material world. So all these philosophies without an end goal is just hearsay, right? Something might work for someone, some things may not work for someone, but at the end, when they say you'll succeed by doing this, or you'll be this is how a wise man acts. But to be successful or to be wise, what is that for? What is the end result of being that? That is not discussed. Similarly, in India, especially, ladies do a lot of things on a day-to-day basis, or even men, or some people will say if you fast on this specific day of the week, it's good, right? Or they'll say light lamp on a certain time of the day or certain month of the year at the doorstep, it's good, right? But to do all these practices, right? Now do this, do that, that is all philosophies, right? Now to follow all these different philosophies without knowing the end goal of why you have to do it, that is simple mental speculation. Do you agree with that? It's like blind faith or superstition. But if you know why you're doing it, that means the religion and the philosophy come together, then it makes sense to follow certain practices, right? On the flip side, you know um, what has to be done, right? You know the end goal, right? But you don't you take no action. You do not follow any practices that take you to the end goal. That is also philosophy, following philosophy or having an end goal without following a religion without the philosophy. Both are equally bad. But what makes sense then is to have the philosophy and religion come together, and then it's a cumulative process. Similarly, jnana yoga will give you the philosophies, do this, do that, right? But uh, to have follow up with that philosophy, you should have an end goal as well. You should take action, karma, right? And when you follow that karma, then you get to the end goal as well, right? So religion, it gives you the goal post, the final goal, right? If you religions tell you that Supreme Lord, he's Krishna is Supreme Lord, and when you have that kind of faith, then you start following different practices, philosophies that take you to the Supreme Lord, right? So that way we understand religion and uh, philosophy. So we should understand religion without philosophy is sentiment or something fanatism, while philosophy without religion is mental speculation. All right. So that's how we understand it. Okay. Now to give a further example, of this to understand it a little better. Did you understand what I said so far, or was it a little confusing?
Yeah, Mataji.
Yes,
Right?
Mataji.
Okay. Uh, so another example would be think of olden days, right? People had these philosophies that ladies who go through their menstrual cycles 3 days in a month, they have to stay outside the house, especially in villages, or even across cities as well. Back in the days, women were kept outside the house for those 3 days, and there were certain rigid practices like that used to happen. But women these days in current times are not designed, in their body would not support that kind of hardship, right? So if we try to follow these same processes in cities as well, imagine staying in a apartment and have to stay out. It does not work. Okay, so we should understand that even between religion and philosophy, religion is always the same, it stays constant, does not change, but philosophies can alter based on time, place, and circumstances, right? So women no longer stay outside their house. Maybe in some remote places it still happens, but at least in cities you don't have to. So some philosophies can change based on time, place, and circumstances. But what will not change is the religion part of it, that the goal part of it, right? When women will not serve the deity, right? When they are on their menstrual cycle, they cannot cook for the deity. So those things will not change. So what happens in that case, especially in a neutral family that or nuclear family that we constantly live, then men have to take charge of the kitchen for those days, right? It's not that men have to take charge just for those days, but especially for those days they have to take charge. So it's especially important then that even men have the basic life skills of cooking, if not something very grand like sweets or 5 types of sweets and all that like ladies do generally, but I don't do. Maybe one at best, but at least the basic thing like rice, dal, roti. Men should know that as well. Like Srila Prabhupada knew how perfectly well to cook puris, chapatis. He had his cooker, 3-layered cooker, where he'd make dal in one layer, rice, and something else, vegetables. So he knew how to cook, and he even was skilled enough to train Matajis and Prabhujis in those skills, right? So like this, details will change, philosophies can change a little here there, but the religion the stays constant. So that's more like telling you that the things um, uh, we should not get really stuck up with how to do it. We should be more focused on the end goal, which is that is Krishna himself. The details will keep changing. Okay, so let's move on to the verse 4.
Yes, Mataji. Na karmanam anarambam naiskarmanya purushostune nute nacha sanyasanad eva siddhim samadhigacchati. Translation: not by merely abstaining from work can one achieve freedom from reaction, nor by renunciation alone can one attain perfection. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Not by merely abstaining from work can one achieve freedom from reaction. Abstaining from work, not doing anything, right? So, or being inert. So, Krishna is saying, even if you do nothing, still you get reaction. Not by renunciation alone can one attain perfection, right? So Krishna is saying both way, right? He's saying no action does not mean you'll be perfect or you'll be sinless after this. Not by renunciation alone can one become perfect, become perfection. So he's breaking all the so-called stigmas our society has about Krishna consciousness, right? There's a nice example that I heard from a devotee recently. This is called as the trolley dilemma. Okay, so let's think of a railway track. Now there was a murderer or somebody who serial killer, let's say. He's captured 5 kids and he's tied it to the railway track. So if the train comes straight, it will run over these 5 kids. Okay, and then on the parallel railway track, one child is tied to that parallel railway track. Okay, so if somebody pulls the lever of the train, okay, so instead of going in the straight track which kills 5 kids, the train will deviate to the parallel track and it will kill the one kid. So this question was asked in the Western world. So would you pull the lever and kill that one kid, or versus would you just do nothing and let the train kill the 5 kids? So when this question was asked in the Western world, before I answer that question, what do you think? What's the right answer to this dilemma puzzle? Uh, how should we respond to this situation? Should the train go over the 5 kids versus the one kid?
Four lives is
The
greater
train.
than one life,
The
Mataji.
driver can put the brakes.
Stop the train, yeah.
Stop the
Mm.
train.
Stop the train. Okay.
Put the brakes, Mataji.
Okay, let's say there was no situation to stop the train.
Then one kid, Mataji. Yeah.
One kid. Okay, because you're saying that
Okay.
better to kill one kid versus 5 kids.
Yes,
Okay,
Mataji.
so that's how the Western world responded as well. They said one kid dying is better than 5 kids, so we'll pull the lever. Okay, versus the Eastern world, okay, who knew about karma, they said, why should I pull the lever? Because if I pull the lever and the train goes to the track which has one kid, then I get the karma of killing that one kid, right? Instead, if the train goes straight, I'm not taking any, I'm not going to pull the, based on whatever karma each of that 5 children have, that is their karma that they have to die under the railway, under the rail wheels. So that's their karma. So if I do nothing, then I don't get involved in this action. So that was how the Eastern world responded, right? But even no action, just because you did nothing and you took and you decided that the 5 kids have to die, you the decision. So even in that case, a person who took no action, even they are getting reaction for not pulling the lever, right? There's reaction even for no action, right? That was example. I don't know what's the right answer. Maybe if they ask India like we did today, they would say, maybe we could remove the kids from the railway track, do something, try to stop the train or some other alternative. But the thing is, we should act one way or the other. We should act, and karma is a very natural state to have in material world. Whatever you do not do, you will get reaction. But getting a reaction when you're trying to act in Krishna conscious, knowing that saving the souls, because then they'll have an opportunity to go back to practice Krishna consciousness with that intention. When you're trying to save everyone, then you tried your best. So you even if you get the reaction, then Krishna will take care of the reactions, right? So that is the philosophy difference that we're talking about. Like no action, like just because you saw somebody murdering another person, and what you did in the side is you took a video of it, and then you did nothing. You did nothing to stop the person from killing them. So the law says that because you was just doing nothing and didn't attempt to save the person, then there's repercussions for that as well, right? So Krishna is confirming that. He's saying no action does not mean no reaction, right? Mataji, can you read this? The renounced order of life, purport.
Yes, Mataji. The renounced order of life can be accepted when one has been purified by the discharge of the prescribed form of duties which are laid down just to purify the hearts of materialistic men. Without purification, one cannot attain success by abruptly adopting the fourth order of life, sannyasa. Sannyasa. According to the empirical philosopher, simply by adopting sannyasa or retiring from fruitive activities, one at once becomes as good as Narayana. But Lord Krishna does not approve this principle. Without purification of heart, Sannyasa is simply a disturbance to the social order. On the
Thank you,
other hand,
Mataji.
if someone
So, without proper eligibility to renounce is simply a disturbance to the society. So without eligibility taking sannyasa, they give a bad name to being a sannyasi, and that's happening so much in the current world. Renunciation must happen organically when the senses are in control, right? But many people take up sannyasa because they are frustrated with their material situation, right? They give it up. They very happily get married to a very beautiful lady, but eventually over time, when two kids happen, the kids are constantly crying, the wife is nagging about something, then they say, I am tired of all this, I'll just give up everything and take sannyasa, right? But such people don't have their senses in control yet, right? And even though they are wearing saffron clothes, uh, we can see them violating all the four regulative principles while wearing saffron clothes. So many of these cases we'll see in many dhams today. So such people are disturbance to the society, not just for the married in their married state life, but even after later when they take sannyasa as well. It's better than for such people to not get married at all. So here, a prescribed duty that we're talking about is nothing but varnashrama dharma, right? For a varnashrama dharma is, uh, we'll talk about it in much detail in the later chapter, but we should understand that anything that is a prescribed duty, like for a brahmana, it is patan patan yajan yajan, right? And for a kshatriya, it is administration, taking care of people. For a grahastha, it is about, taking care of the deities at home. Um, Especially for a grahastha, is to take care of the deities, and in that sense it said that it's important that grahastha always stays closer to a temple. So in that, even if you don't have a deity at home, then you can at least go to the temple, and then the deities in the temple become the life of center of your life. So otherwise, if you have a small deity also, that is also okay. But make sure that you don't just bring some kind of big deity home. You want Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra, Maya, and I see this happening with many devotees. They'll start with all the Shodasha Upachara just for first 3-4 days, 1 week. They'll stretch and do it, but after that, after starting all that, eventually they'll stop these processes because they don't have the time to continue all these uh, and the initial excitement with which they brought the deities home, it's kind of fizzled out. So for grahasthas especially, your prescribed duty is start slow, right? Even if you have a deity at home, start slow. You don't have to start with all the Shodasha Upacharas. Just start with whatever you can. Even if it's, you do very exotic food for the Lord once in Ekadashis, or, you do some kind of prayers, yagna for the deities once in a while. You can decide what frequency it can be. It could be every Ekadashi or once in a month on a specific nakshatra. You can do all that. So, but don't go, full howl just in the beginning and then say, now I can't do all this. So don't go that way. Start slow, and eventually, as Krishna gives you the will to do more, then you can do that. Right. And like this, prescribed duties has to be performed. The renounce order of life can be accepted only when one is purified by discharging of the prescribed duty. Okay, so after executing all your prescribed duties, then at some point you can say, okay, renounce order of life can be accepted. But without doing your like a prescribed duty doesn't is not limited to Brahman. Even if you're a brahmachari, there are certain prescribed duties that the brahmachari should do, like studying, understanding the shastras, pursuing the understanding of Brahman. This is the prescribed duty of a brahmachari. So after doing that, eventually, when your senses are in control, then renounce order or the sannyasa can be taken. Should not be taken. Hastily. Let's read verse 5.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
न हि कश्चित् क्षणमपि जातु तिष्ठत्य कर्मकृत् कार्यते ह्यवशः कर्म सर्वः प्रकृति जैर्गुणैः. Translation: Everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the qualities he has acquired from the modes of material nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment. Hare Krishna. Mataji.
So when Krishna is talking about not giving up prescribed duties or renouncing everything, he's also reminding that everyone is forced to act helplessly. Now, what do you understand that? It's the nature of the soul to always be active, right? We are always active because, you can see how my hands are moving, my eyes are blinking. So it is happening because my soul is active, and I'm reflecting the same on my body. Independent of the soul, the body cannot act. And because there's a soul within us, we are forced to act, right? Everyone is forced to act as per the three modes of material nature, which is sattva guna, rajaguna, and tamoguna, right? So, uh, so whichever guna that we are surrendered to at this moment, and all of you are listening to Krishna Katha and listening about what Krishna is saying. So we are transcendental to Rajo, Tamo, and Sattva Guna at this point. But otherwise, if if you're doing materialistic duties, then we are either doing it in Sattva Guna, Raja Guna, or Tamo Guna. Okay, so even a renunciate then cannot stay without acting, or or moving around, or reacting to senses. So even if they renunciate, no one can live without acting even for a moment. So no body can mindlessly sit still, because even when you're sitting still, your mind is internalizing, your mind is thinking. So even if your external body is very still, then even at some point, your mind will be thinking about things, and then that way you're constantly moving. There's no point that we can sit still and do nothing. Okay, so the three modes that we spoke about, it's like your GPS that you have in your car, right? Sometimes you think of the car as your body, human body, right? And the driver is then becomes the soul. So the soul is taking the car everywhere, and the GPS is telling you take left, right. And sometimes the GPS will take you to the temple, sometimes to your workplace, sometimes to a pub or a bar. So depending on where the GPS takes you, or the three modes take you, your body goes accordingly, and the soul is driving you to that action, right? So that's how we understand that. So if someone takes to Krishna consciousness, even though he may not follow the prescribed duties in the Shastras or execute the devotional services properly, and even though he may fall down from the standard, there is no loss of or evil for him. But if he carries out all the injunctions for purification in the Shastra, what does it avail him if he is not Krishna consciousness? So more important then is to perform your prescribed duties in Krishna consciousness. But if you're Krishna consciousness and you're still not performing your prescribed duties, that is still okay. But doing your duties without the concept or understanding of Krishna consciousness, that is of no use at all. So that's the essence of this purport. Let's go to verse 6.
Yes, Mataji. कर्मेन्द्रियाणि संयम्य य आस्ते मनसा स्मरन् इन्द्रियार्था विमूढात्मा मिथ्याचार स उच्यते. Translation: one who restrains the senses of action but whose mind dwells on sense objects certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender.
One who restrains the senses of action, but this is called as karmendriya. Does anyone know what are the 5 karmendriyas? We have jnanendriyas, karmendriya, and the mind. So what are the 5 karmendriyas?
Hands, legs,
Mataji, five, say,
nose,
eyes, nose.
eyes, ears, mouth,
No,
nose.
that is jnanendriya. Your eyes, nose, mouth, ear, and skin is jnanendriya. Okay, karmendriya is what executes the action. Your hands, your feet, your mouth, anus, and genital. Okay, so these are the 5 karmendriyas. Then we have jnanendriyas, which is the 5 parts I just mentioned: eyes, nose, mouth, skin, and ear. And then we have the mind. So these are the 11 senses that we have. Okay, but here the verse talks about the working senses or the karmendriyas in specific. That is the hands, legs, mouth, genital, and anus. Why? Because any action that we do to please our jnanendriyas must be done through these karmendriyas. Okay, that's the difference between jnanendriya and karmendriya. So jnanendriya is to sense. Okay, karmendriya is for executing those actions. So think of a sannyasi or a person in a saffron clothes, but if he's carrying a cigarette in his hand or a bidi or something. So how do you understand this action? So we can understand that this person externally he looks like he's left his family, his everything, but he's still a servant of his senses, right? So a person who has externally seems like he's given up material sense enjoyment, but internally, if he's still a servant of his senses, then such a person is called a mithyachari or a pretender. Okay, so we should understand that they simply bluff or say that their senses are in control, but actually their senses are very uncontrolled, right? A person who has given up all material senses will not crave for some material joy of smoking cigarettes or some small things like hot food or warm clothes. These things don't even matter them when they reach that stage. Whatever is good for Krishna consciousness, it's that's what they do. But a mithyachari is not like that. They crave for the fame that comes with the saffron clothes, or or the dignity of being a devotee. They crave for such kind of hypocrisy, and such hypocrites and then are called as pretenders or mithyachari. Okay, so there are many pretenders who refuse to work in Krishna consciousness but have a show of meditation while actually dwelling within the mind upon sense enjoyment. Such pretenders may also speak on dry philosophy in order to bluff sophisticated followers. But according to this verse, they are the greatest cheaters. For sense enjoyment, one can act in any capacity of the social order, but if one follows the rules and regulations of his particular status, he may make gradual progress in purifying his existence. But he who makes a show of being a yogi while actually searching for the objects of sense gratification must be known as the greatest cheater, even though he sometimes speaks of philosophy. His knowledge has no value because the effect of such a sinful man's knowledge are taken away by the illusory energy of the Lord. Such pretender's mind is always impure, and therefore his show of yogic meditation has no value whatsoever. Now, the question then is, there are many devotees. If you look around ISKCON, there are many devotees. They are wearing nice devotee clothes, but they also struggle with sense gratification. Then are ISKCON devotees in the bracket of Mithyacharis, or how do we understand them? What are your thoughts? Because this verse clearly says that one who's wearing external clothes of a yogi but is not self-control, then he's a mithyachari. But how do you dissect so many devotees who
Maybe they
have
are on their path to perfection.
path. They on
yes,
Krishna conscious path, Mataji. So
correct,
they are trying to control their
they
senses.
are trying to control,
Okay.
correct, that's the right answer. So we should understand that when you're looking at devotees, there are there are different degrees of detachment. Now, for some may say, some may have withdrawn their senses from sense objects, and their mind is also withdrawn. Not just the external senses, their mind is also withdrawn. Now, that's the perfect stage of renunciation, right? This is self-liberated stage. So there's no doubt that this person is a actual sannyasi or a renounced person or a devotee, right? Now, some others may have withdrawn the external senses from sense objects. External senses are withdrawn, or they're at least showing externally that they are detaching themselves from external objects, but their mind is still engaged in sense objects. Now, there's a wide range of devotees in this category, right? But what we should try to understand is, are they trying to control their mind, right? Or are they just doing external pretension and the mind control is something they have completely forgotten, right? So these people who are trying to control the mind, who are in the process of controlling the mind, they are called as sadhakas, right? And many people you see in the ISKCON circles, they are in different stages of being a sadhaka. Some devotees are, in some conversation out of humility, they might say something, I'm a pretender Prabhuji or Mataji, I have no control on the mind. So we should not confuse this like, this Prabhuji or Mataji is accepting that they are a mithyachari. No, that's a sense of, putting themselves in a lower position and saying that, I am trying, I have failed many times, right? But with the will of Krishna, will continue trying. But that's the mood of a sadhaka as well, that they acknowledge their failing and still keep trying, right? So that's a sadhaka who's trying to control their mind. They may or fail or pass, but that doesn't matter. As long as they keep trying, they are sadhakas. Which is also why a spiritual master is given us those 4 regulative principles. Does anyone know what are the 4 regulative principles we follow in ISKCON?
No, no meeting,
Meat
no,
eating,
no
no
intoxication,
meat eating, no gambling, no
no
alcohol, no
Yes.
illicit relation.
Yes. No meat eating, no illicit relation, no gambling, and no illicit relations, right? The 4 regulative principles. And then there's one more rule, that is chanting on beats. Now, this will further aid your sadhana, your control of mind, both chanting on beats as well as following the 4 regulative principles. Remember, in Kali Purusha, Kali is sitting in these 4 activities of eating meat, intoxication, gambling, and illicit relation, right? And by not engaging in such activities, you're training your senses to be more regulated, and the mind is then more focused, right? The more you engage in activities where Kali is sitting in, the more disturbed your mind is going to be. And if you ask questions on why am I not able to sit and focus, because you're still engaging in activities that is where Kali Purusha is sitting, right? So many people say I chant whenever I can, but I don't do it on beats. But even the act of chanting on beats is recommended by our acharyas. Haridas Thakura, whenever he chanted for the whole day, and he never said, I'll just chant the whole, I'll remember the Lord's name whole day, I'll keep chanting, but I'll not do it on beats. He didn't do that. Every time he chanted 3 lakh times a day, he did it on his beats. So chanting must be done with Sankhya Purvaka, with the count of the number of times you're chanting. It's not something that you do, through the day. Yes, you can do through the day, but when whatever oath that you've taken, I'm going to chant. I know a couple of you have taken oaths for Krishna Sevaka, but it's an oath you're taking to Krishna that I'm going to chant 4 rounds of my mala on my bead henceforth without failing, right? Come exam, come project deadline, or illness or whatnot, I'll still try my level best to complete my rounds. And if for days that you cannot do your rounds on beats, then you pick it up the next day. Whenever you have the time, you'll do that extra rounds that you missed doing on beats the next day. So this is a kind of commitment you're showing to Krishna, that Krishna is not just about I saying I love you, I'll remember you, you're also showing that commitment, just like lovers. Just saying I love you does not work. You need to show your commitment to your lover that, I'm ready to take care of you in goodness, ill, failure or success. Just like the Saptapadi, every time we take a oath in a marriage, we take 7 oath, right? We'll do this. But imagine if the husband or wife is ill or is going through some financial crisis, and immediately the spouse says, no, I can't go beyond this, we have to break our relation, right? So Krishna is asking us to chant on beats, and this is authorized by, is coming from our acharyas. Okay, so chanting on beats is a way to show our accountability to Krishna. It's not just about saying I love Krishna, but also telling that, I will chant on beats, remembering Krishna. The time I'm spending with my hand inside the bead bag, the time is dedicated completely to Krishna, no other activity. right? So you're not just saying, I love you, Krishna, you're also showing your commitment to Krishna. And by following these 4 regulative principles, you're further showing Krishna that you're ready to give up all these different things that are distracting us from his holy name, right? So this is how we need to keep our seriousness in chanting, right? It's not something that we do whimsically, just, whenever I have free time or cannot focus on something else, I'll think of Krishna. No, it is a dedicated time you're giving to Krishna to chant, right? So Krishna is then saying that we should do this, and it's a reminder for all of us that we are in Kali Yuga. We have this human body, so it's like a golden opportunity given to us to chant, to remember the Lord, right? So if you're missing this opportunity, we don't know then when we are going to get this human life again, right? So please make the most of this time that we have to continue chanting with full seriousness. Try to get to the level of 16 rounds a day as soon as possible. Don't just wait that, in future when I'm retired and more free, I'll do my 16 round. May not even get to that stage. Most of us don't have that kind of assurance. So chant when you have the time for chanting, right? So we spoke about people who are practicing, who are trying to externally have their control, but their mind is on different degrees. Now the third kind is, whose external senses are in control, and the mind is, but the external senses are not in control, and their mind is not in control as well. So these people are all materialistic people that we see everywhere. But if such materialistic people whose senses as well as the mind is not in control, if they make a show of being a devotee or a yogi, then that person is a pretender or a mithyachari. Okay, so this is a difference between a mithyachari and other devotees that you see around you. So because this term mithyachari shows up in this verse of this Bhagavad Gita, so Krishna is confirming that even back 5,000 years, there were people like this who made a show of being a devotee or a surrendered soul. And it's not like a new age phenomena. So Krishna has is then telling you that the time, place, circumstances could change, but the basic philosophy of human nature or the way human beings react to different situations has not really changed. So even back in those days, there were mithyacharis who pretended to be devotees of the Lord, but tried to cheat people in that after that. Right. In that context, you might know about this devotee of the Lord named called Annamachari. It's pretty famous. There's some old movies on him as well. So this Annamachari, Annamacharya, he had 2 beautiful wives. He was so enamored by their beauty that each time he saw them, he forgot about everything else. And when they are walking next to each other, he failed to even glorify how beautiful, because both of them were equally beautiful. There was no comparison. And so to make sure that he's never missing a glimpse of his wife, he would walk backward, always looking at his wife. So like this, when he was praising his 2 wives and he's walking backward, he bumped into a sannyasi, right? And he explained to the sannyasis, my wives, they are so beautiful, I can't take my eyes off them. And he started glorifying his wife's beauty. So the sannyasi said, it's okay, I understand your wife is very beautiful, but I'm a sannyasi, I don't have to hear about your wife's beauty. So, but then Annamacharya, he asked the saint, sannyasi, but you're a sadhu. How come then you're so happy? You look so, there's such a glow in your face. You don't even have a wife, or, at least when I look at my wife, my face is filled with heart is filled with so much joy that it reflects on my face. But as a sannyasi, you don't even have anyone in your life. Then how come you look so beautiful? Right? So the sannyasi said, I have my own beloved, and my beloved, his beauty supersedes the beauty of your wives as well. They are nothing compared to my beloved. So this Annamacharya feels very curious. Who are these? Right? So then the sadhu explains him that he's Krishna himself. And he says, you can have darshan of my Lord here. And Annamacharya does that. He goes, has darshan of the Lord. And after he sees the deity of the Lord, he's so in love that he instantly forgets about everything else and he's surrendered to the Lord immediately. Right? So this is how devotees are. They are in different stages of sense control, mind control, but ultimately one who completely gives up everything and surrenders to the Lord. And even if their mind is not in complete control or going through different stages of control, they are called a sadhaka. And when our senses are surrendered to the Lord that way, eventually we get to the stage of perfection, or we become sthita pragna at some point. Okay, let's read verse 7.
Harsh Prabhu has not come today.
Who has not come? Not okay.
Oh, Harsh
Anyone
Prabhu is
else?
here. Harsh Prabhu is here.
Okay.
Harsh Prabhu? Harsh Tiwari Prabhu?
Okay, let's.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you want
Yes,
to read?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm listening.
It's your turn to read. Do you want to read?
Yes, ma'am. I will read.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yastav Indriyani Manas Niyam Yar Bhate Arjuna Karmendriya Ye Karma Yogam Asakta Sa Vishisyate. Translation. On the other hand, if a sincere person tries to control the active senses by the mind and begins karma yoga in Krishna consciousness without attachment, he is by far superior.
Hare
Purport.
Krishna. No. Thank you. On the other hand, if a sincere person tries to control active senses by the mind and begins karma yoga, so when one is trying to control their mind by performing karma yoga and without attachment to the action, that such person is much superior. Instead of being a pseudo transcendentalist, then a householder can also reach this destination by regulated service in Krishna consciousness. So you don't have to be a renunciant, you don't have to give up everything. You can perform your karma yoga, but with controlled senses and with surrender to Krishna. So instead of a pseudo transcendentalist for the sake of wanton living and sense enjoyment, it is far better to remain in one's own business and execute the purpose of life, which is to set free from material bondage and enter into the kingdom of God. The prime Swartha Gati, or the goal of self interest, is to reach Vishnu. The whole institution of Varna and Ashrama is designed to help us reach this goal of life. A householder can also reach this destination by regulated service in Krishna consciousness. For self realization, one can live a controlled life as prescribed in the Shastras and continue carrying out this business without attachment. And that's the way to make progress. Okay, let's read verse 8.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Niyatam kuru karma tvam karma jayo ya akarmana sharira yatrapi chate na prasiddhyat akarmana. Translation: perform your prescribed duty, for doing so is better than not working. One cannot even maintain one physical body without work. Hare Krishna.
Can you read from the purport? There are many pseudo meditators.
Yes. There are many pseudo meditators who misrepresent themselves as belonging to high parentage and great professional men who falsely pose that they have sacrificed everything for the sake of advancement in spiritual life. Lord Krishna did not want Arjuna to become a pretender. Rather, the Lord desired that Arjuna perform his prescribed duty as set forth for Kshatriyas. Arjuna was a householder and a military general, and therefore it was better for him to remain as such and perform his religious duties as prescribed for the householder Kshatriya.
Thank
Such
you, Prabhu.
activities are gradual. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so Krishna is telling Arjuna not to be a pseudo renunciant but instead engage in the duties of a Kshatriya. So for a Brahmana, their duty is patan patan yajan yajan. So if a Brahmana, especially he's a Brahmana by character, when he does all this patan patan yajan yajan without desire for any kind of money or fame. Okay, that's the mood of a Brahmana. Similarly, a Kshatriya, they are administrators protecting people right? Grahasthas, we spoke about deity worship. So this is how we describe uh, prescribed duties. So without doing so, through one will fall down, right? So Krishna is saying, rather than not doing your duties, it's better that you perform your prescribed duties. For doing so is better than not working. One cannot even maintain one's physical body without work. Okay, give me a second. So such activities cleanse the heart of a mundane man and free him from material contamination. So-called renunciation for the purpose of maintenance is never approved by the Lord, nor by religious scriptures. After all, one has to maintain one's body and soul together by some work. Work should not be given up capriciously without purification of material propensities. Anyone who is in the material world is certainly possessed of the impure propensity for lording it over material nature, or in other words, for sense gratification. Such polluted propensities has to be cleared. Without doing so, through prescribed duties, one should never attempt to become a so-called transcendentalist, renouncing work and living at the cost of others. Okay, so prescribed duties are especially there to control your senses. So once by performing prescribed duties, after controlling the senses, at some point, if you feel that you've reached the stage of renunciation, then it is approved to renounce. Otherwise, it's prescribed that one continues doing their duty. Let's read verse 9.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
यज्ञातात् कर्मणो ज्ञात्रा लोकयं कर्म बन्धनः तद् अर्थं कर्म कौन्तेय मुक्तसङ्गसमाचरा. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed, otherwise work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, and in that way you will always remain free from bondage. Hare Krishna.
Work should be done as a sacrifice for Krishna. Krishna is nothing over here is called as yagna. Okay, so Krishna, any work done should be done for Krishna. If you don't do work for Vishnu, it will cause bondage. This verse is called is a definition of Nishkama Karma Yoga. Right, we described Nishkama Karma Yoga in chapter 2, but this one verse very nicely describes what a Nishkama Karma Yoga is. Any work done for Krishna and doing a prescribed duty to Lord Vishnu or Krishna, and not having any kind of personal desire, is called a yagna or a sacrifice. So any work you're doing as a sacrifice for Krishna. It's not for your own maintenance or happiness. You're doing it for Krishna. So such work is called as yagna or sacrifice. So work done for Krishna in this way is not bonding. What does it mean when the verse says bonding? What is bondage? What is your understanding of the word bondage here?
Somebody was bound by something, Mataji. Bound to someone.
What are we
You
bound
get a
to?
good karma or bad karma by that
Yeah.
activity.
Yes. So how is a good or bad karma going to bind us then?
You will face the consequences in your next birth.
Yeah, it binds us to material existence, right? So this is what Krishna is saying. Any work that you do could be karma, pious work, or impious vikarma. Both of them are binding, right? So work done as a sacrifice to Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, it causes bondage to material world. This is referring to the repeated cycle of life and death. And that way, to free ourselves from this bondage, what's the process? It's also mentioned in this verse by performing our prescribed duties for Krishna's satisfaction. So whatever you like to, whether you like it or not, chant because Krishna likes it. You don't have to like it. Krishna likes it. You don't feel the whole rasa of chanting does not matter, right? All you have to do is put your effort to chant, and Krishna will take care of the rasa. right? You don't have to, it's not in your domain to feel the rasa of, the of chanting, or, I don't feel that kind of satisfaction. It's not in your domain. If Krishna someday is happy with your effort, then he will give you the rasa, or this following this four regulative principles. We do it because it pleases Krishna, right? Cooking for Krishna, keeping the house clean for Krishna, growing nice trees or plants around your house with nice fragrant flowers, you're doing it all for Krishna. And when you see some certain fruits in the market, you look at the red apples and you say Krishna will enjoy it, and then you buy that fruits, right? uh, uh, when you're constantly thinking of Krishna like this, when you work, even when you're working in your workplace, there is uh, uh, you're working such places where we are not consciously violating regulative four regulative principles, or spending money, even when you're spending money, you're conscious that you're spending Krishna's money, that none of the money that you have belongs to you, really. It all is Krishna's resources, right? So Krishna has given this money, his body, everything is Krishna. So when Krishna is doing all that, in turn, we should be very respectful about how we use these resources that Krishna has. Krishna has given you children. Krishna has given a spouse. So we have to be respectful, knowing that this wife is a devotee of the Lord, and hence she has to be treated in a certain respect. Similarly, with the husband, you cannot, disrespect the husband. Certain things happen internally in the family. It's not that, all the time, if the spouses are always shouting at each other, being abusive, so that should be avoided, because even while dealing with each other or the children, we should understand that these are devotees of the Lord, and their consciousness should be brought to that level again. So try to avoid that kind of atmosphere at home when Krishna is at home, right? So we should be conscious about that. So do everything to please Krishna and not to please our own senses. So doing this will free one from material bondage. So by living our life like this, instead of billions of human life, maybe some few lives are going to be cut down, right? And instead of billions of life, maybe in few lives we'll be ready to reach the liberated stage. And that way you can go free ourselves from bondage as well. Let's read the next verse. Verse 10.
It's Annapurna Mataji, something.
Annapurna.
Mataji. It's
Okay.
Nirjakshi Mataji, go ahead.
Okay.
Saha Sahayajna prajastritva purovacha prajapati anena prasavisya tvam esavostva istakamadog. Translation. In the beginning of the creation, the Lord of all creatures sent forth generations of men and demigods, along with sacrifices for Vishnu, and blessed them by saying, "Be so happy by this yajna sacrifice, because this performance will bestow upon you everything desirable for living happily and achieving liberation."
Okay,
Hare
now Hare Krishna. So this verse is introducing us to Karma Kanda. Okay, I'll not start this verse today, because that opens up to a whole set of verses that dwell into Karma Kanda. So we'll go through this verse again on Wednesday and then describe it as well. So based on today's class, are there any questions?
Mataji, you were talking about the chanting beads, how we are supposed to be chanting and all that stuff. I have told this earlier also, but I am not able to hold the beads at all. Okay, so I keep chanting, I mentally counting, trying to chant with the fingers if my finger bends. Otherwise, I'm mentally counting and chanting.
Your situation is unique, but your fact that you're putting an effort to remember the Lord, do the chanting, that is itself a testimony to your commitment, right? But there are many people who are able to do all this, but they don't, right?
Got it.
So it's a generic statement, but if there's special situations, of course, Krishna will understand.
It kind of pricks me that, this is what is prescribed. You're supposed to stick by it. and you're not
Just
able to.
pray to Krishna that, you are put me in a special situation, right? So,
Right.
and ask for his forgiveness that you're not able to because of the material situations. And whenever you can, you pick up the chanting bead and chant, right?
And
Yeah.
also another question regarding to the pseudo materialists that we were talking about, the pseudo meditators, people who clad clothes, to say that they are in the path, but they are actually not in the
Not.
path.
Yeah.
How do we identify such people? That is a big $1 million question in the current world that we are living in. There are so many people like that, and it becomes very difficult to differentiate the real from the not so real.
Yes. Especially in the devotee circle, we don't start with the attitude that, you're a pseudo or a mithyachari. We don't start with that. We
Okay.
give them the due respect. And if somebody is coming with the saffron clothes, then, we give them the due respect. But over time, with practices and time, we kind of figure out things, right? So blind faith is, of course, not suggested in any situation. But over time, as you watch certain people, we will understand, are they externally behaving in a way that they are supposed to as a devotees? But even then, if they are not, it's best not to be judgmental, right? Because being judgmental is, think of a situation where a person is trying and then is very dirty, and they're trying to take a bath, they're trying to cleanse themselves, but you're constantly pointing fingers and saying that you're dirty, right? What's the point of our trying to point fingers when they're trying to cleanse themselves, right? So you give the time to the person to say that, they are sadhakas, so that sense. But mithyachari is especially for people who are saying that they are renounced, but they are outwardly doing certain things that are, not supposed to. But in the general circle of devotees, like in ISKCON, you kind of give them the leeway, because all of us are going through different stages of cleansing up mind and heart. So you don't try to judge people based on that.
Mataji. No. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji,
Hare
regarding
Krishna Mataji.
Hare
Mayapur.
Krishna. Okay, we'll come to that.
Mataji,
Hare
may I
Krishna
ask you?
Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Just before, I see people are dropping, so I wanted to check before the next question. Ganesh Prabhu is asking this question. Are there any devotees here who are going on Mayapur Yatra next week? How many of you are on a Mayapur Yatra?
This week, Mataji.
Yeah, this week and all the way till 18th.
Mataji, even I'm going, but not to Mayapur. I'm going Chardham Yatra from 13th to 19th.
Okay, I see Grishma Mataji, Chaitanya Mataji, okay, and
Me
Ganesh
also,
Prabhuji.
Mataji.
Who's that?
I am also
Lata,
Mataji.
Lata Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, in that case, we'll not keep, since
There's
many
a 5-minute
devotees are
congestion
traveling.
in 50 meters. You're still on the best route.
Praveen Prabhuji. So since many devotees are not available for next week, for next week, from Monday to Thursday, we'll only keep Srimad Bhagavatam reading. Okay,
Thank
there
you.
won't be Bhagavad Gita classes. Is that
Thank
okay?
Okay.
Okay. And for this week, because 11th is Narsimha Chaturdashi, this week's Srimad Bhagavatam reading, which is on Tuesday and Thursday, and also on Friday will be Srimad Bhagavatam reading. We'll be reading Canto 7 this week. Okay, so all of you, if you're interested in reading about Narsimha's pastimes, please join us for the Srimad Bhagavatam reading on Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Okay, 2 questions. Are there any other questions on anything that we discussed today?
Mataji, this chanting part of it, it's a target oriented or quality oriented, like? Because when you are
Target oriented primarily, because nobody can be perfect in their quality from day one. So better then is to have a target and then get your quality up.
okay.
right? But have a target, even if it's 4 rounds or 8 rounds, whatever. Have a target and meet that daily target on your beads, right? Above and beyond whatever number you do, you can do. However, without beads also is fine. If you want to use beads for extra rounds, that is also fine. But whatever commitment you have done, do it on the bead, and eventually also try to improve your quality. If you feel that your quality is bad on all 8 rounds, first week try to see, at least for the first 4 rounds, can I focus on the round? Each time I roll the bead, can I bring my mind back, the focus back on the bead with every name that I utter, right? Slowly, once you reach perfection, then you know that your quality will also improve in time. But don't try to be completely, distracted throughout the chanting. That is not good, because that becomes a way of chanting by itself then. Okay. Any other questions? No
Hare
other
Krishna,
questions?
Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, you mentioned about the Karmendriya and the 5 other sense objects.
Gyanendriya.
Gyanendriya, basically. So I have a doubt. Basically, when we speak, so our tongue is used basically, and tongue is also covered in the with the
Gyanendriya.
Gyanendriya. So when we speak, we can say something good, something bad, and it can lead to different consequences.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking is not covered by any karmendriya thing, because you can do bad karma by speaking bad, you can do good karma by speaking good, or chanting, or doing Hari Kirtan in that sense.
Mouth is also karmendriya. Tongue is a gyanendriya.
And mouth
See
is
the
part of this
karmendriya.
karmendriya.
Yes.
Five you mentioned
Yes.
about. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All good? Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnebhyo namo namaha. So we'll meet again on Wednesday for the verse 10 onwards. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Dandavad
Hare
pranam.
Krishna, Mataji. Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare
Dandavat
Krishna
pranam.
Mataji, Dandavat
Hare
pranam.
Krishna Mataji, Dandavat pranam.
Hare
Dandavad pranam.
Krishna Mataji.